you're like most adults, you probably hate spending hundreds of dollars on car repairs, especially fairly simple ones. Well, today I'm here to show you how to quickly and easily change the brake pads on your car. First, you will need a toolkit, preferably with a ratchet set or a combination wrench. Next, you will need a C-clamp to adjust the caliper. You will need something to place behind the tire. I used a wheel chock, but a block of wood works well also. You're going to need a jack. I used a floor jack, but a scissor or bottle jack should work just fine. Next, you'll need either a crossbar or a lug wrench for the jack and lug nuts. And finally, the brake pads themselves. There are a number of optional items as well. I used a pair of work gloves along with heavy-duty paper towels. Some people also use wire and jack stands for added safety. Step 1. Safety. The first step is secure the back wheels using the chock block or a block of wood. Step 2. Get the vehicle off the ground. Now, you are going to loosen the lug nuts using your crossbar while the vehicle is still on the ground so that you can avoid the wheels spinning out. Next, position your jack in a solid location behind the wheel, making sure not to pinch any cables or joints. Jack your vehicle up until the wheel is clear. This is the point where you'd set your car on jack stands if you have them. Once the tire is clear of the ground, finish loosening the lug nuts, which you should be able to do by hand since you loosened them earlier. Now, remove the tire, which will expose the brakes. Step 3. Remove the old brake pads. The first thing I like to do is lay out a paper towel to put everything on. So for this guy, I believe it's a 12mm. Sure is. Depending on the access you have in your car, you may want to use a ratchet like this guy, or just a regular combination wrench if you aren't able to get in there. For mine, it looks like I got plenty of clearance. I'm gonna go with the ratchet. Oh, there we go. Similar to lug nuts, a lot of times they're tough to get undone, but once you get it, nice and simple. So there's one. Oh, there we go. Alright, so next we're going to pull the caliper, which is this guy right here. I'm going to pull that off of the rotor. And then from there it'll expose the brake pads and we can get to the next step. At this point, you want to be careful not to pull too hard and disconnect the brake line. Also, the line is not very long, so if you have wire, you can secure it to the top of the rotor or balance it on top. If you don't have any wire, you can use the roll of paper towels like I did. Alright, now this is the time when those gloves come in handy. Starts to get pretty dirty in here. Alright, so now we're going to come up here and pull the brake pads themselves off. They usually have little clips kind of up here. You can see we got the brake pad off. Pretty worn down. See that. And there's also one on the other side, so we'll do the same thing on the other side. Here's a time where a flat blade screwdriver can come in handy. You want to be careful not to put too much pressure. You don't want to bend anything in there. Look at that. A little more leverage. Pop that bad boy out. So now we're going to grab the new brake pads. You can see right here, Napa Special. Now when you go to places like Napa, they usually have multiple levels of brake pads. I usually go with the kind of middle of the road. Yeah, they're good pads. They come with the extra little hardware pieces right here. Now you're going to remove the old hardware, both top and bottom. Once you pop the hardware off, grab a new one and put it back on the same spot. Once again, you will do the same thing to the top as you did the bottom. Pop off the old hardware and replace it with the new. Step 4. Installing the new pads. Let's compare the old pad to the new. While the old pad isn't horrible, the new one definitely has a lot more surface area on it. When installing the new pad, line up the edges in the hardware and pop it in. Sometimes it'll take some finagling, but as long as you have the correct pads, it will eventually fit in. Just as before, you're going to install the backside pad into the slots. Because it is located behind the rotor, it can often be hard to see and install. Next up, we will compress the caliper back inside itself using the C-clamp. Depending on the caliper your car has, you may need a special tool, which you can often rent from your local auto parts store. Once you have the C-clamp on the caliper, rotate the clamp about half a turn at a time. I like to use the old brake pad, so that I can have more surface area to work with. Once both sides are compressed, we are ready to reinstall the caliper. Place the caliper over the new pads and tighten the bolts back in. Final step, reinstall the tires and bleed the brakes. Place the wheel back on the rotor, start screwing on the lug nuts by hand so that they don't get cross-threaded. Lower the car. Tighten the lug nuts with your lug wrench or crossbar, making sure that the lugs are tight and won't come loose. Bleed the brake lines by tapping on the brake pedal until the firmness returns. And that's it. Be sure to check your brakes at a low speed to make sure you have full functionality before you hit the road. Thanks for watching.